Hello everyone, it's a fantastic turnout. So thank you so much for joining us today. As Kesh said, I'm Suzanne, Head of Content, and obviously a lady needs no introduction sitting next to me. Many people may know Billie from her TV work. Earlier her days in Towie, and then obviously her show The Mummy Diaries with her sister Samantha, and now obviously The Family Diaries with Greg and Nellie and Arthur. So a lot of people may wonder what she's doing here. Obviously it's a retail trade show. It's not usually the glamour that Billie brings to the table. But I think what people don't realise is she's been involved in retail for quite a long time. So she's launched her own fashion ranges, and she's here to talk about the new ranges and styles that she's bringing into interiors and homes, and also children. And actually, it's beautiful stuff. But I think before we get that far, Billie, tell me, how did that come about? How did your journey from TV into fashion and ranges come about?
I think with interior, it's something that I've always been really interested in. And I met with Hunter Price, who I'm doing the brand Chapter B with a couple of years ago now. And it just kind of moved from strength to strength. We started off with a mood board of ideas of what I liked and interiors, and then it's just kind of grown into this brand. And yeah, it's something completely new for me, but it is something I've always been really interested in.
Yeah, and if I'm right in thinking, you've been having conversations with the Home and Interiors for quite a few years, and really it started to come underway when I think COVID hit, and obviously a huge amount of challenges. So tell me a little bit about how that relationship came together, obviously in a period of Zoom when you're developing a range, it's so important to touch and feel things.
Yeah, that was really challenging actually, because we have pretty much developed the range throughout COVID and lockdown and like countless amount of Zoom meetings, and then finally when we first got together, because for me, and I think like many of us, when it comes to like interior and like things like cushions, blankets, you want to be able to sort of feel them and see them in the real life. So it was quite challenging, but we've got there, and it's going to be launching August this year. And
I think most of us who obviously were working through COVID, so Billie, you had the TV work and you had obviously the work on the ranges, but how did you juggle that? Obviously most people know you as a parent, as kind of a sister in that family life. How did you juggle all of that?
Well, it wasn't easy. I think like most of us with young children, like throughout lockdown and having to work from home, homeschooling, like it was definitely challenging at times. And I think like I'm grateful for Greg, my husband. He sort of really, we worked together as a team, and it was like a tag team, but it wasn't easy. Like I'd be upstairs doing Zoom, he'd be doing the homeschooling, the kids would be running in the room. I'd be like, so it's just a constant juggle, really.
Yeah. And I think that's something everyone can relate to, of that issue of trying to juggle all of those things at the same time. And I think one thing that's came across when we were talking is just how important it is for you to balance that family with work.
Yeah, of course. I think for me, because like with my work schedule, it's not 9 to 5, it's not Monday to Friday, it could be all different hours, all different days, and obviously the children, like Nellie and Arthur, are my number one priority, and Greg and my family, but I do love working as well. So it's kind of just having a balance, and like every week, like Greg and I have like this calendar on the fridge, and I'm like, right, this is what's going on this week, and we just have to sort of like just work together as a team to get through it.
Yeah, I think most people have got a calendar on the fridge. It's quite nice to know that goes everywhere. My sister-in-law has one that she lives and dies by.
Yeah.
That has everything on there from work to kids. And I think what I took away when we were talking backstage and before we came on is just how important it is for you to have that balance. And I think also just how normal your life is outside.
Yeah.
I think we all think when we see reality TV that it's all glamour, but there's a lot of hard work behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, there really is, and like I say, it's just a lot of planning and organising, and just it's quite full on.
No. So going back to when you were, I think what I love about the range that you've chosen is obviously it's called Chapter B, and I think what the last 2 years has done, obviously as a show, we skipped last year, it's been a bit challenging, but what it actually makes us do is kind of take stock of where our priorities lie and the things that we want to do and the things that we want to do differently. So you'd had your fashion line, what crystallised it that you wanted to start looking at interiors? How did that come about?
Well, a couple of years ago, Greg and we bought a property which we knew was going to be a huge renovation job for us. So we kind of sort of started getting into interiors. It's something I've always really enjoyed, like even at home, just like, you know, if I'd go out to, let's say, even a supermarket, the first aisle I'll go down is like just to see what home bits they've got. And especially I think throughout lockdown, kind of like the supermarkets were the only place you could really go and physically look at stuff. So
how many cushions did you buy?
Literally countless. You can imagine, like a new cushion, a new throw, trying to change things up. And I think it just kind of went from strength to strength, really. And especially because we are planning on being in our new home this sort of summer, the timing of the launch as well, because we was planning on launching last year, but then because of COVID and lockdown, everything got delayed. But actually, it's worked out better because trends have changed, things have changed, and I think now the collection just seems completely right and really authentic to me. Like everything, when I looked at it today on the stand, I was like, wow, this is going to look so nice in my lounge, like my kitchen, you know, like I could just imagine it all in my home, my new house, I mean.
I think that's a moment for a lot of... So our greetings hall over in Hall 2, we call it a Born from Illustration, and it's lots and lots of very small designers who have exactly the same mindset as you, where they start out with a card, but they just have an idea, and when they see it brought to life, and then they see it's real, and then when you see that first buyer come on and love the product, it's such a feeling of satisfaction. I can imagine you had that this morning.
Yes, it was, amazing. Like it just, when I see it all together and it just felt really real. Like I say, it's been quite a long process and everyone's worked really hard to get there, and seeing it all there was just amazing.
So we work with, we're lucky enough to work with quite a few influencers and interior designers and some amazing trend consultants. And they all take inspiration from different ways. Now, I'm always curious, you said you've always had a passion for interiors. What are you drawn to? Where do you start that kind of creative process?
Do you know what it is with me? I think I'm one of these people where everywhere I go, if I see something I like, whether it's when I'm on holiday, if I'm in a hotel, a restaurant, I'm always taking photos. Like, I'm always getting like sort of design inspiration, and like if I might like the fabric on something, I'll just take a picture on my phone. And obviously, like with the kids as well, like you know, the children's collection in the range is just completely like Nellie and Arthur have inspired me for that. All the colours and the colour palettes and what they like Arthur loves dinosaurs, he's really into that. Nellie loves blue, she loves, you know, shells. It's kind of, you can see.
Yeah, I'm just going to show you guys, because actually you can see the dinosaurs on stage, and you can feel free to go and have a little play with them afterwards, but you can see some of the range here that Billie's talking about with the dinosaurs and yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's just like the colour palette is exactly what I would have in my home with all of it. So yeah.
So I think I hear this quite a lot, and we had Paul Moneypenny here yesterday, and he said something that resonates. He said, start with one piece that you love and then build it from there. Yeah. And it sounds like that's kind of the same process that you take when you find a fabric or a pattern or a texture.
Exactly, like the boucle fabric, which you'll see on like a cushion, and we've got like a footstool, and that's kind of like a real, like something, like I just love it. It looks expensive, it looks really nice, and the collection kind of just grew from that. Was like one of my first initial design ideas. I was like, I love this, and there's like another kind of like a chevron fabric as well. Yeah,
it's like it's more blush colours.
Blush, it's all like really nice pastel, like quite neutral. A lot of it with a splash of colour as well.
Yeah, I think it's quite tastefully done though, and I think what we see is the commercial. You can see that selling in stores. That's what's really nice about it. It's actually a super commercial palette, but also really on trend as well.
Yeah.
And I hope you won't take offence. When we saw that you were launching a range, obviously people have a perception of somebody from Towie, and you expect all the glitz and the sequins, but this is really quite contemporary and pared down.
Yeah, completely. And I think that, like you say, people would probably expect to see a lot of that, but I think, like, you know, times have changed, trends have moved on, and like I say, because I'm always thinking now what I want my new home to look like, and, you know, still my current home as well, but I think, like, that really gives me, like, a massive, like, inspiration to the collection, because I think I want to see all of this in my home, and I can see it.
Yeah, and I personally am, I love the colour glass. so on trend at the moment.
Thank you.
So I can see again when we see the different trends that are coming through, and Trend Bible were here this morning, and this was one of the ones that they shouted out was this around coloured glass. So I think maybe without meaning to, or maybe just the same creative influences, but there's some really super beautiful pieces.
Thank you.
But obviously it's not just going around and taking pictures. I think everybody that's developed a range will tell you it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And it really does matter who you go into business with and who you work with. So how did you work with Hunter Price when you were collaborating? Obviously taking the Zoom meetings out there, but what was important to you when you started building that relationship?
I think when I first initially started working, because I'd worked with them before on other projects, and we just really got on with the team, and you know, with the designers, they've just taken everything on board what I like, and it's just grown. It's gone like from strength to strength, and it's been just a really, really lovely process of from start to now.
Yeah, because you are quite hands-on, and it's the one thing when we were talking through the ranges is just how much involvement you had with those designers.
Yeah, like with everything that I work on, I feel like it has to be what I would wear or what I would have in my house or what I like. I think I would never just put my name to something just because, it's another, opportunity to work with a brand. And I think because I made that really clear with the team as well, they liked that. They liked that I wanted to be involved with all the designs and how it looks and the branding, I
think it's also the longevity of it, because this is the first collection.
Yeah.
Hopefully there will be others.
Yes,
and I think it's really as your style evolves and what you love as it does, it kind of makes you wonder what's coming next.
Yeah, exactly. We're definitely going to be expanding and going, to other things.
So I think one question that we can't get away from, and I think today is Sustainability Day at Spring Fair. Many of you will have seen the Power of One walls that we have with our pledges, and it's something that I know for buyers when they're looking at their ranges, something that actually really matters to them. And I think it matters to most people when they're developing ranges to keep it in mind. So just on the sustainability point, how important was that to you when you were looking at who you work with and how they work?
Yeah, of course, like you say, it's really important. And as a brand, that is something that we are really working on at the moment. But what we've done to start with is plastic-free packaging.
Yeah. So I think, I work with Hunter Price. We've known them for a lot of years as a show. And I think firstly, the packaging has all been reduced for this range in store, and as well as that, plastic-free packaging and coming from good sources is incredibly important to consumers. We all know it's one of the mainstays that they look for. Mm-hmm. So what I really love about the relationship that you have with Hunter Price is knowing just how important that is to them when they're developing it. So you don't necessarily have to worry about the nitty-gritty of it. You know that these are made and these come from a good place.
Yeah.
And I think especially when you look at a children's range. So I love the interiors range, but I think the children's range is super playful.
Yeah.
So what was important to you when you were looking at that range?
I think obviously you can see the colours are still quite neutral, like they're more like soft pastel colours. But for me, it just reflects exactly how Nellie and Arthur's rooms are at home. And when I sat with the design team, we spoke about key things which I think bring a room together, and we made sure like the little shell pot with the pillows, and we've got this really nice idea. I'm not sure if you could see the shell pillow. It's actually got a zip on it, and it's got a really nice fleecy blanket, because my two, they love to have like a cosy soft blanket. So it was all those little ideas that we pulled together, and obviously the colour palette works really well with the home and lifestyle range as well.
Kind of wish we had one to show you now. It's such a clever idea.
Yeah.
And I think as well, the dinosaurs are super playful.
Yeah.
And I think what I love about the dinosaurs is they go across girls and boys as well. It's one of those really nice things that everyone loves. Mm-hmm. So I know we've only got a little bit of time with you, so I'm going to do one last question. But when you see the range and you see how it evolves, obviously the boucle fabric was important to you, but what are you gravitating towards next?
There's a few things that we're looking at. So Christmas is the next big thing for us. So we will definitely be doing a Christmas drop, and that will all sort of be very Christmassy and more homeware. Obviously, we all love to dress our table at Christmas. So yeah, that's going to be the next thing that we're working on.
Well, we look forward to seeing the Christmas wear.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I know many of you will have questions. We've had quite a shy audience. We're not going to do some questions, but Billie will be around for a few minutes if anybody wants to do a few questions face to face. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you.